One of the most enduring symbols of this ancient civilization is the Great Pyramid of Giza, constructed between 2580 and 2560 BC. This monumental structure, which served as a tomb for Pharaoh Khufu, stood as the tallest man-made structure on Earth for over 3,800 years. The Egyptians built the pyramids not with slave labor, as is sometimes believed, but with skilled, paid workers. These laborers left behind evidence of their daily lives, graffiti, tools, and even bread, providing us with a more humane view of those who created these wonders. Number 2. The Roman practice of damnatio memoriae was a form of posthumous punishment where all records of a disgraced individual were erased from history. This could include chiseling their names off inscriptions and destroying their statues. It was intended to shame and erase any memory of the person. Number 3. The Code of Hammurabi, dating back to 1754 BCE in ancient Mesopotamia, is among the earliest and most comprehensive written legal codes in history. Created by Babylonian king Hammurabi, it consists of 282 laws carved into a massive stone stele, outlining rules on trade, property rights, family matters, and punishments for various offenses. This code emphasized lex talionis, or the law of retaliation, famously summarized as an eye for an eye. However, it was not uniformly applied. Different social classes received different treatments under the law. Hammurabi's code significantly influenced the development of legal thought and justice across ancient and modern civilizations, marking an early attempt to unify a society under one set of standardized laws. Number 4. The Book of the Dead is a modern name for a collection of ancient Egyptian funerary texts known as the Book of Coming Forth by Day. These texts, written on papyrus scrolls and placed in tombs, date from as early as 1550 BCE and provide instructions for the soul's journey in the afterlife. The scrolls contain spells, charms, and passwords to help the deceased navigate the trials they would face before reaching the field of reeds, a paradise-like afterlife. The texts provide incredible insight into Egyptian religious beliefs, their concept of morality, and their preparations for a life beyond death, showcasing the Egyptians' profound preoccupation with the afterlife. Number 5. Beginning around the 2nd century BCE, the Silk Road was not a single road, but an extensive network of trade routes linking China with the Mediterranean, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures. Along with silk, the route carried goods like spices, ceramics, and precious metals, while Buddhism, art, and technology flowed across continents. Despite challenges like deserts and mountain ranges, merchants, pilgrims, and envoys traversed these paths, enriching societies across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. The Silk Road exemplifies the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations and their enduring legacies in global trade and cultural exchange. Number 6. In 2010, art dealer and writer Forrest Fenn created a modern-day treasure hunt by hiding a chest filled with gold, jewels, and artifacts somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. Fenn published a poem in his memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, which he claimed contained clues leading to the treasure's location. Tens of thousands of people searched for Fenn's treasure over the next decade, and at least 5 died in their efforts. The treasure was finally found in 2020, although the finder's identity and the exact location have not been disclosed. Number 7. Created by the House of Fabergé between 1885 and 1917 for Russian Tsars Alexander III and Nicholas II, the Fabergé eggs are jeweled masterpieces. Of the 50 imperial eggs made, 7 remain missing since the Russian Revolution. with their fate unknown. The most valuable of these missing treasures is the third imperial egg, which was rediscovered in 2014, but others could be hidden in private collections or yet to be found. Fabergé's eggs are a symbol of wealth and craftsmanship, and the search for the missing ones continues to intrigue collectors and historians. Number 8. Giraffes have unique horn-like structures called ossicones, which differ from typical animal horns. Unlike the hard, sharp horns of animals like goats, ossicones are made of cartilage. Both male and female giraffes, as well as their close relatives, the okapi, possess these structures. As giraffes age, their ossicones fuse with their skulls, becoming more firmly attached over time. This is a distinctive trait among giraffes and related species. Number 9. The world's first animated feature film, El Apostol, was created in Argentina in 1917. Directed by Quirino Cristiani and produced by Federico Valle, this pioneering film holds a special place in animation history. The story follows Argentina's president at the time, Hipólito Yrigoyen, who dreams of visiting the Greek gods for advice on how to improve Buenos Aires. Although it was a groundbreaking achievement, the film itself was tragically lost in a fire, making it impossible to view today. Number 10. Between 1969 and 1972, 12 astronauts set foot on the moon during NASA's Apollo missions, making history. Two of them, Alan L. Bean and Alan Shepard, made the journey. Bean during Apollo 12, where he became the fourth person on the moon, later turning to painting to capture his space experiences, and Shepard during Apollo 14, who famously hit 2 golf balls on the lunar surface. The other 10 astronauts include Neil Armstrong from Apollo 11, who became the first human to walk on the moon, delivering the iconic line, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," and Buzz Aldrin, also from Apollo 11, the second person on the moon, who later became a vocal advocate for space exploration. Pete Conrad from Apollo 12 was known for his humorous first words on the moon, saying, "That may have been a small one for Neil, but that's a long one for me." His crewmate, Ed Mitchell, the lunar module pilot on Apollo 14, conducted scientific experiments and later became interested in paranormal phenomena. From Apollo 15, David Scott became the first person to drive a vehicle on the moon, using the lunar rover, while James B. Irwin from the same mission, a devout Christian, said walking on the moon reaffirmed his faith. John Young from Apollo 16 was the 9th person to walk on the moon and later became the only astronaut to fly missions during the Gemini, Apollo, and Space Shuttle programs. And Charles Moss Duke Jr., his crewmate, left a photograph of his family on the lunar surface. Finally, Eugene Cernan from Apollo 17, the last man to walk on the moon, famously remarked, "We leave as we came, and, God willing, as we shall return, with peace and hope for all mankind." His colleague Harrison Schmitt, also from Apollo 17, was the only trained scientist to land on the moon, as a geologist who collected valuable lunar rock samples. Number 11. Bees are integral to both wild and cultivated ecosystems. By transferring pollen from one flower to another, they help plants produce fruits and seeds. Their pollination services are valued at over $150 billion globally each year. Without bees, crops like apples, almonds, blueberries, and cucumbers would see a severe decline, potentially causing food shortages and rising prices. Number 12. Here are a few fun hippo facts for you. The term bloat for a group of hippos is such a fitting and amusing description. Hippos are fascinating creatures. Despite their size and somewhat clumsy appearance, they can run surprisingly fast, reaching speeds of up to 19 miles per hour on land. Plus, they spend most of their time in the water, keeping cool, but they can't actually swim. Instead, they walk or push off the bottom to move around. Number 13. Coffee's caffeine content can vary widely depending on the type, roast, and brewing method. A single espresso shot contains about 63 milligrams, while an 8-ounce cup of drip coffee averages 95 milligrams. Darker roasts often have slightly less caffeine, contrary to popular belief. Number 14. Bread is one of the oldest prepared foods, with evidence of its production dating back 14,000 years. Different cultures developed unique types of bread, from Middle Eastern flatbreads to European leavened breads, making it a universal staple. Number 15. Wilhelm Röntgen's discovery of X-rays in 1895 provided a way to see inside the human body without surgery. X-ray imaging transformed diagnostics and paved the way for more advanced imaging techniques, including MRI and CT scans, essential tools in modern medicine. Number 16. Julius Caesar's reform of the Roman calendar in 46 BC was one of his most significant and enduring contributions, profoundly impacting timekeeping systems in the Western world. Before his reforms, the Roman calendar was based on the lunar cycle and had become highly inaccurate over time due to poor synchronization with the solar year. The Roman calendar's year was only 355 days long, requiring frequent adjustments and additions of extra days or even months to realign with the seasons. By the time of Caesar's rise to power, the calendar was so out of sync that Roman festivals were occurring in the wrong seasons, creating confusion. To address this, Caesar consulted with astronomers, including Sosigenes of Alexandria, and devised what would become known as the Julian calendar. This new system was based on the solar year, which is approximately 365.25 days long. To account for the extra quarter of a day, Caesar introduced the leap year, adding an extra day to the calendar every 4 years. This innovation was critical for keeping the calendar aligned with the Earth's orbit around the Sun. The Julian calendar began in 45 BC after Caesar added 90 extra days to that year to correct the accumulated inaccuracies, making it the longest year in Roman history, known as the Year of Confusion. Once implemented, the new calendar stabilized Rome's timekeeping. The months were realigned, with January and February placed at the beginning of the year, and all months received fixed lengths. One of the notable aspects of the Julian calendar is that it retained the names of certain months in Caesar's honor. For example, the month of Quintilis was renamed July, after Julius Caesar himself, and later, the month of Sextilis was renamed August in honor of Caesar's successor, Augustus. The Julian calendar remained in use for over 1,600 years, well into the Middle Ages. However, because the solar year is actually slightly shorter than 365.25 days by about 11 minutes, this small discrepancy caused the calendar to drift by 1 day, roughly every 128 years. By the 16th century, this misalignment had accumulated to about 10 days, which was problematic for the calculation of Christian holidays like Easter, which were tied to the spring equinox. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar to correct this drift. The reform involved skipping 10 days in October 1582 and adjusting the leap year rule slightly, allowing only century years divisible by 400 to be leap years. The Gregorian calendar is the one still in use today in most of the world, though the Julian calendar is still used in certain Orthodox Christian contexts. Julius Caesar's calendar reform was a monumental achievement, providing the basis for modern timekeeping and a testament to his far-reaching influence on the Western world. Number 17. Sushi's journey from a preservation method to a global delicacy is a fascinating tale of culinary evolution. The origins of sushi can be traced back over 2,000 years to Southeast Asia, where the primary goal was preserving fish. This early form of sushi, known as narizushi, involved fermenting fish with salted rice. The rice wasn't eaten. It served to keep the fish edible for months. This preservation method eventually made its way to Japan, where it began to transform. By the Edo period in Japan, 1603 to 1868, sushi underwent significant changes. One of the key shifts was the development of han-narizushi, where both the rice and the fish were consumed. Fermentation was still used, but for a shorter period. Over time, the need for long preservation diminished, and the process became more focused on flavor. The most recognizable modern style of sushi, nigiri sushi, emerged in the early 19th century in Edo, modern-day Tokyo. Instead of fermented fish, fresh fish was served atop a small ball of vinegared rice. This form was faster to prepare and ideal for the growing demand in the bustling city. Nigiri sushi became popular as a fast food, served in stalls to busy workers and travelers. The combination of fresh fish and vinegared rice provided a delicious, convenient meal. As Japan opened up to the world in the late 19th century, sushi's popularity spread globally. Today, sushi has evolved further, incorporating diverse ingredients and techniques, but its essence remains rooted in the combination of fish and rice that developed over centuries. Nigiri sushi, along with other forms like maki, rolled sushi, and sashimi, raw fish without rice, are now staples in global cuisine. Number 18. Flamingos have a fascinating and unique anatomy that often leads to some common misconceptions about how their legs work. When you see a flamingo standing gracefully on one leg or walking through shallow waters, it might look like they bend their legs at the knee just like humans do. But in reality, that bend you're seeing is not their knee at all, it's their ankle. Flamingos have incredibly long legs, and their knees are actually much higher up, closer to their bodies, and hidden beneath their feathers. What most people mistake for the knee is the ankle joint, and the long section below it that we see is more like a foot. This means that when a flamingo is standing, they are essentially standing on tiptoe, and what looks like a backward bending knee is actually their ankle doing the work. It's a remarkable adaptation that allows them to wade through water and maintain balance while feeding in their unique environments. This posture, along with their elegant appearance, makes flamingos some of the most intriguing birds to observe. Number 19. In the 1880s, America was at a cultural crossroads, with urban centers like New York City buzzing with excitement and temptation. Saloons, brothels, and other hedonistic venues were thriving, particularly in popular areas like Coney Island. Enter LaMarcus Thompson, a hosiery businessman with a vision far beyond fabric. Thompson was deeply troubled by what he saw as a moral decline in the nation, and he believed that too many Americans were being lured into lives of vice and indulgence. He was especially concerned with Coney Island, a hub of questionable entertainment at the time. Determined to offer an alternative, Thompson set out to create something that would provide wholesome fun, an escape from the temptations of sin. His solution? The roller coaster. Thompson imagined it as more than just an amusement ride. It was a way to distract people from their vices and give them a taste of exhilarating but virtuous entertainment. In 1884, he built America's very first roller coaster at Coney Island, a modest, gravity-powered ride called the Switchback Railway. It wasn't the thrilling, high-speed roller coasters we think of today, but it was revolutionary for its time, offering riders a taste of excitement while keeping them far away from the more questionable attractions nearby. Thompson's roller coaster became a symbol of fun without the risk of moral corruption, and it kicked off a wave of similar attractions across the country. His invention reshaped the landscape of American entertainment, proving that thrills and ethics didn't have to be at odds. With his creation, he provided New Yorkers, and eventually, people all over the world, a new kind of joy, all while steering them away from seedier pastimes. It's fascinating to think that one of today's most popular forms of entertainment began as a well-intentioned attempt to save people from sin. Number 20. The next time you bite into a crisp, fresh apple from the supermarket, you might be surprised to learn that it could be nearly a year old. While apples in the produce section might look shiny and recently picked, the journey they've taken from orchard to your shopping cart is longer than most of us realize. Typically harvested between August and November, apples are picked when they're perfectly ripe. But rather than heading straight to the store, they undergo a process designed to preserve their freshness for months on end. Once harvested, these apples are coated in a layer of wax. This isn't just for that glossy shine. It serves a practical purpose by sealing in moisture and preventing the apples from shriveling. After the waxing, they're hot air dried to ensure they don't develop mold or rot during storage. But here's where things get really surprising. Instead of being immediately shipped to your local supermarket, these apples are placed in cold storage, where they remain for anywhere from 6 to 12 months. This storage process is carefully controlled, with temperatures and oxygen levels adjusted to slow down the apple's aging process and keep them from spoiling. By the time they finally reach the shelves, months may have passed since they were first picked off the tree. So, while they might still taste great and appear fresh, the reality is that many of the apples you see in the store have been sitting in cold storage for up to a year before making their way into your home. This little-known fact might change the way you think about fresh produce. Though they're kept in top condition for extended periods, the idea that your apple could have been picked last fall might give you a new perspective the next time you reach for one at the grocery store. It's a reminder of the incredible science behind modern food preservation, but also a nudge toward considering other sources, like farmers markets, if you want truly fresh off the tree fruit. Number 21. In ancient Greek medicine, Hippocrates and Galen were among the most influential figures who shaped medical practices for centuries. Beyond Hippocrates, who is often celebrated as the father of medicine, for his contributions to clinical observation and patient care, Galen took these foundations and developed a comprehensive medical system. Galen's work synthesized and expanded upon Hippocratic theories, most notably through the concept of the four humors, which became central to understanding human health in ancient times and well into the Middle Ages. The theory of the four humors posited that the human body was governed by four bodily fluids: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Each humor was associated with specific physical and psychological characteristics, and an imbalance among them was thought to be the root cause of illness. This theory was deeply tied to Greek beliefs about the elements: earth, water, fire, and air, which were also linked to the four humors. Blood was associated with the element of air and the season of spring. It was thought to be warm and moist, linked to a sanguine temperament, optimistic, social, and active. Phlegm, tied to water and winter, was considered cold and moist. It was believed to produce a phlegmatic temperament, which was calm, reliable, and thoughtful, but sometimes sluggish. Yellow bile, connected to fire and summer, was seen as warm and dry. It was associated with a choleric temperament, characterized by ambition, leadership, and aggressiveness. Black bile was linked to earth and autumn, seen as cold and dry. It was associated with a melancholic temperament, marked by creativity, sensitivity, and introversion, though also prone to sadness and anxiety. Physicians like Galen believed that health depended on the balance of these humors. Treatments were thus aimed at restoring this balance, often through methods such as bloodletting, purging, and dietary adjustments. For example, if a patient had too much blood, thought to cause fever or a sanguine temperament, bloodletting might be employed to release the excess. Similarly, to counteract excess yellow bile, which could cause irritability and inflammation, doctors might prescribe cooling foods or herbal remedies to restore equilibrium. Galen's influence was profound, as he combined his humoral theory with his extensive knowledge of anatomy and pharmacology. He gained much of this knowledge through the dissection of animals, as human dissection was often prohibited in ancient Greece. Though limited, his anatomical observations were foundational, forming a basis for medical practices in the Roman Empire and enduring throughout the medieval period. The humoral theory, while ultimately flawed by modern standards, represented a significant step in understanding the human body and the concept of systemic health. It dominated Western medical thought for over a millennium, influencing not only medical treatments, but also ideas about personality and psychology. Even as new discoveries in anatomy and biology emerged, the theory of the four humors persisted, reflecting the deep-seated influence of Greek thought on the development of medicine. Number 22. In the early days of photography, particularly around the 1840s, the approach to portraiture was quite different from what we see today. Back then, people were often encouraged to maintain a solemn or neutral expression when having their pictures taken. Smiling widely was generally considered improper and even childish, especially for adults. A big, toothy grin was thought to convey a lack of sophistication and restraint, qualities that were highly valued in the Victorian era. The exposure times for early cameras were also much longer than today, sometimes lasting several minutes. Holding a smile for such an extended period was both uncomfortable and challenging, so people often adopted more relaxed, natural expressions. To help subjects maintain this composed look, a London photographer famously advised them to say prunes instead of cheese. The word prunes naturally caused the lips to form a slight pout, resulting in a tighter, more subdued expression. This posed look became popular as it conveyed a certain level of seriousness and poise that was socially desirable at the time. The idea of saying cheese for photographs only came into vogue much later, when shorter exposure times made it easier to capture fleeting expressions. By the early to mid-20th century, smiling in photographs became increasingly common, reflecting cultural shifts that favored more casual, spontaneous representations of people. The trend of saying cheese likely began because it pulls the lips back and creates an appearance of a natural smile. In a way, saying prunes was an early precursor to today's duck face or fish face selfies, where people intentionally pout or create exaggerated expressions for effect. Both trends emphasize a controlled, stylized approach to capturing one's image, though the motivations have shifted over the decades from maintaining propriety to conveying a sense of playfulness or trendiness. This transformation highlights how cultural attitudes towards self-representation and facial expressions have evolved, shaped by changing technologies and societal norms. Number 23. The British royal family's current name, House of Windsor, has its origins not in antiquity, but rather as a result of a deliberate name change in 1917. Prior to that year, the family was known as the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, a name that reflected their German heritage. This lineage can be traced back to Prince Albert, the German consort of Queen Victoria, who was a member of the ducal house of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha in Germany. When their son, Edward VII, ascended the throne in 1901, the name passed to the British monarchy, establishing a link to his German roots. However, during World War I, anti-German sentiment was extremely high in Britain. This was exacerbated by the fact that Germany was the primary enemy in the conflict. As a result, it became politically sensitive for the British royal family to retain a German-sounding name. In response to these pressures, King George V made a historic decision. On July 17, 1917, he issued a royal proclamation that officially changed the family name from Saxe-Coburg-Gotha to Windsor. This choice was carefully made, as Windsor Castle was an iconic symbol of British royalty and history, dating back centuries. Naming the family after Windsor linked the monarchy with an image of quintessential Englishness, reinforcing their ties to British heritage and distancing them from any German associations. The name Windsor has endured since then and has come to symbolize the modern British monarchy. The change also set a precedent for royal names, as it was the first time a reigning British royal family had adopted a wholly English name. The House of Windsor has continued through successive generations, and it remains a recognized emblem of the British monarchy's resilience and adaptability. Number 24. The largest waterfall on Earth is not found on land but beneath the ocean, in a remarkable underwater feature known as the Denmark Strait Cataract. This waterfall, hidden beneath the surface of the Denmark Strait, flows between Greenland and Iceland, where a fascinating natural phenomenon occurs due to differences in temperature and salinity between two adjacent bodies of water, the Nordic Sea and the Irminger Sea. In this location, colder, denser water from the Nordic Sea encounters warmer, lighter water from the Irminger Sea. As the cold, dense water flows southward, it sinks beneath the warmer water, creating a powerful downward flow. This underwater cascade plunges nearly 2 miles, approximately 3.5 kilometers, into the ocean depths, about 3 times the height of Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall on land. The flow rate of this underwater waterfall is immense, moving approximately 123 million cubic feet, 3.5 million cubic meters, of water per second. For perspective, that's equivalent to almost 50 times the average flow of Niagara Falls. The Denmark Strait Cataract is part of the global thermohaline circulation, often referred to as the ocean conveyor belt. This massive system of deep water currents helps regulate global temperatures by transporting warm and cold water around the planet. The dense water from the Denmark Strait eventually contributes to the North Atlantic deep water current, which flows southward and plays a crucial role in distributing nutrients and oxygen to marine ecosystems around the world. The underwater waterfall phenomenon at the Denmark Strait highlights the complex and dynamic processes occurring beneath the ocean's surface, processes that are often hidden from view but have a significant impact on global climate and marine life. Number 25. Japanese sake, or Nihonshu, is a traditional rice-based alcoholic beverage with a deep history in Japanese culture, dating back over 1,000 years to at least the Nara period in the 8th century. Its origins are likely influenced by early brewing techniques from China, though sake has since developed uniquely Japanese characteristics. Sake is central to many Japanese ceremonies and rituals, including religious offerings at Shinto shrines, as well as weddings and other celebrations. It is also a popular everyday beverage and can be enjoyed in a variety of settings. The production of sake involves a complex fermentation process that utilizes 4 main ingredients: rice, water, yeast, and koji mold, Aspergillus oryzae. Sake rice, or sakamai, differs from regular table rice as it has larger grains and a higher starch content, which is essential for fermentation. Before brewing, the rice is polished to remove outer layers that contain fats and proteins, which can affect flavor. The degree of polishing can vary, and the more the rice is polished, the higher the grade of sake, as polishing enhances the drink's clarity and aromatic qualities. Water quality is crucial in sake brewing, as it influences the taste. Japan's mountainous regions, with their clean, mineral-rich waters, are ideal for producing high-quality sake. The next ingredient, koji mold, is added to the polished rice to break down starches into fermentable sugars. This step, known as saccharification, is unique to sake brewing. Koji is also used in the production of other Japanese staples like soy sauce and miso. After the starches are converted into sugars, yeast is introduced to begin fermentation. Unlike beer and wine, sake undergoes a process called multiple parallel fermentation, where saccharification and fermentation occur simultaneously, creating a more complex flavor profile. The brewing process can take anywhere from a few weeks to several months, depending on the type of sake being produced. Sake varies widely in flavor, ranging from sweet to dry. Variations in flavor are influenced by factors like the rice polishing ratio, water composition, fermentation techniques, and aging processes. Some sakes, known as junmai, are brewed without additional alcohol, highlighting the natural flavors of rice and water. Other types, like hanjozo, include a small amount of distilled alcohol, which can lighten the body and enhance certain flavors. Traditionally, sake is served at various temperatures, depending on the type and the drinker's preference. It can be enjoyed warm, particularly in colder months, or chilled to enhance its crisp and refreshing qualities. The way sake is served can also reflect regional customs and the specific type of sake being enjoyed. While more premium sakes are often served cold to bring out delicate flavors, warming certain varieties can release deeper, earthier notes. Sake is commonly served in small ceramic cups called ochoko, which are refilled frequently as part of the social drinking ritual, underscoring the beverage's role in fostering community and connection. Number 26. The claim that Scotland has more than 400 words for snow highlights the rich and nuanced vocabulary in Scots, one of the country's native languages. The Scots language, which is distinct from both Scottish Gaelic and English, has a deep linguistic heritage with many terms reflecting the natural environment, including a remarkable variety of words for snow. The Scottish government-backed project Scots Thesaurus and research from the University of Glasgow documented an impressive 421 words related to snow. This extensive vocabulary captures the different textures, behaviors, and states of snow, reflecting Scotland's varied winter weather. Here are a few examples that showcase the diversity and specificity of these words. You have the word sneezel, which means to start raining or snowing. This term refers to light, almost sneaky precipitation, indicating the onset of snow or rain. Then you have the word feefle, which describes swirling snow, akin to a light flurry that dances in the wind, followed by the word flindrican, which is used for a slight snow shower or the light, drifting snow that does not accumulate much. Next up, we have the word skelf, which refers to a large snowflake or a flake that sticks out from a layer of snow, akin to a splinter. And finally, we have the word snop, which indicates the beginning of snowfall, where the flakes are just starting to accumulate. This rich lexicon likely developed due to the importance of understanding and describing different snow conditions, which could impact daily life, travel, and farming in Scotland. The precise vocabulary also reflects how people have adapted to and lived closely with their environment. Terms like spitters refer to small flakes of snow, while blindrift describes drifting snow that blinds or reduces visibility. The Scots language itself is rooted in Old English, influenced by Old Norse and Norman French, which contributed to the diversity of words available. Over time, these terms have been passed down through generations, maintaining a close connection to Scotland's cultural heritage and emphasizing the regional dialects that bring unique meanings to weather descriptions. These words do more than just describe snow. They offer a glimpse into Scotland's historical relationship with its climate and landscape. In many ways, the variety of snow-related words showcases how language evolves to meet the needs of its speakers, particularly in environments where specific weather conditions can significantly affect daily life. Number 27. Yellow-fleshed watermelons, also known as yellow crimson, are an intriguing and lesser-known variety of watermelon that often surprises those expecting the traditional red interior. These yellow watermelons are actually some of the oldest types, predating the more common red varieties. They likely originated in Africa, much like red watermelons, and were spread around the world over time. Through selective breeding, the red-fleshed variety became more popular due to its sweetness and vibrant color. The yellow hue in these watermelons is due to a lack of lycopene, the antioxidant that gives red watermelons and tomatoes their color. Instead, yellow watermelons contain higher levels of beta-carotene, the pigment found in other orange and yellow fruits and vegetables, like carrots and sweet potatoes. This change in pigment is purely natural and doesn't involve any artificial coloring. In terms of flavor, yellow watermelons have a unique taste compared to red watermelons. While red watermelons are known for their classic sweet taste, yellow watermelons are often even sweeter and have a honey-like flavor. The flesh is tender and juicy, much like red watermelons, but with a slightly different and delightful twist that many find refreshing. They're increasingly available in grocery stores and farmers markets, especially during peak watermelon season, and can be used interchangeably with red watermelons in most recipes. Number 28. Avocados have a unique ripening process compared to many other fruits. They belong to a category of fruits known as climacteric, which means they continue to ripen after being harvested. Unlike other fruits that ripen on the tree, avocados stay hard until they are picked. This characteristic has significant benefits for both avocado growers and consumers. When an avocado is on the tree, it remains in a dormant state, which means it won't soften or mature fully while attached to the branch. In fact, avocados can stay on the tree for several months without ripening. This extended period allows farmers to keep them on the tree until they're ready to sell or ship them. Once avocados are picked, the ripening process begins. At this point, they begin to produce a plant hormone called ethylene, which triggers the ripening process. Avocado ripening typically takes between 4 to 7 days at room temperature, though this process can be accelerated or slowed down. Placing avocados in a paper bag with a ripe banana or apple, for example, can speed up ripening. This is because bananas and apples release ethylene gas as they ripen, which encourages nearby avocados to do the same. On the other hand, storing avocados in the refrigerator slows down the ripening process, helping them last longer if you're not ready to use them. For consumers, this delayed ripening process means avocados can often be found in stores when they're still rock hard. This characteristic can be both a benefit and a challenge. While it allows for greater flexibility in terms of when you want to eat the avocado, it also means that timing is crucial. It's easy to miss the window between too hard and overripe, as avocados can go from perfect to overly soft in a day or two. For growers, avocado's unique ripening process allows for better control over harvest timing and shipping schedules. Because they don't ripen on the tree, growers can stagger the harvest, reducing the risk of oversupply and allowing for a more consistent market supply throughout the year. This delayed ripening also makes avocados more resilient during transport, as they are less likely to bruise or spoil before reaching consumers. Overall, avocados' post-harvest ripening is a distinctive feature that shapes both their agricultural production and their everyday use in the kitchen. It provides flexibility and control over the ripening process, which has contributed to avocado's popularity worldwide. Number 29. While airports are crucial to modern travel, 5 countries operate without one: Vatican City, San Marino, Monaco, Liechtenstein, and Andorra. Each of these countries has unique geographical and logistical reasons for not having an airport, yet they have developed alternative means for residents and visitors to travel in and out. Vatican City, the smallest country globally, is entirely surrounded by Rome, Italy, covering only about 0.17 square miles, 44 hectares. Due to its limited size, there's no space for an airport within its borders. Instead, the city-state relies on Rome's airports, Leonardo da Vinci Fiumicino Airport and Ciampino Airport, both within a short distance. Visitors can easily reach Vatican City from these airports via taxis, buses, or trains. San Marino, one of the world's oldest republics, is a landlocked microstate completely surrounded by Italy. At around 24 square miles, 61 square kilometers, San Marino's small and mountainous terrain makes it unsuitable for an airport. Residents and tourists use Federico Fellini International Airport in Rimini, Italy, located about 13 miles, 21 kilometers away. Travelers can easily reach San Marino from Rimini Airport by bus, taxi, or rented car. Monaco, situated on the French Riviera, is famous for its wealth and luxury, but lacks an airport due to its compact size of only 0.78 square miles, 2 square kilometers. The nearest airport is Nice Côte d'Azur Airport in France, about 14 miles, 22 kilometers away. Visitors can travel from Nice to Monaco by bus, taxi, or even helicopter, making the journey in under 10 minutes. Liechtenstein is a small, landlocked country in the Alps, bordered by Switzerland and Austria. Covering about 62 square miles, 160 square kilometers, with mountainous terrain, building an airport would be impractical. Liechtenstein residents typically use Zurich Airport in Switzerland, roughly 75 miles, 120 kilometers away. From Zurich, travelers reach Liechtenstein via the well-connected European rail and road networks. Andorra, a landlocked microstate nestled in the Pyrenees Mountains between France and Spain, spans about 180 square miles, 468 square kilometers. Its mountainous landscape and lack of flat land make airport construction difficult. Andorrans rely on Barcelona El Prat Airport in Spain, about 125 miles, 200 kilometers away, or Toulouse-Blagnac Airport in France, about 100 miles, 160 kilometers away. Regular bus services run between these airports and Andorra, providing accessible transportation. Despite their lack of airports, these countries have effectively adapted. By relying on nearby airports in neighboring nations, they leverage Europe's extensive transportation infrastructure, including trains, buses, and well-maintained roads. In some cases, like Monaco, helicopter services are available to provide faster connections to international flights. This arrangement highlights how geographical and logistical considerations can shape travel options, while still allowing these nations to stay well connected to the world. Number 30. The world's oldest wooden wheel, discovered in 2002, is an extraordinary archaeological find that offers a glimpse into early human innovation. Found approximately 12 miles south of Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, in the Ljubljana marshes, this ancient wheel is estimated to be between 5,100 and 5,350 years old, dating back to the late Neolithic period or early Copper Age. It is now housed in the City Museum of Ljubljana, where it continues to captivate both researchers and visitors alike. Radiocarbon dating techniques were applied to date the wheel with precision. The results revealed that it was made sometime between 3,150 and 3,350 BCE, making it one of the oldest known wheels in existence and the oldest wooden wheel ever found. This places the wheel's construction around the same time as the earliest known use of wheels in Mesopotamia, indicating that the development of wheel technology may have been more widespread than previously believed. The wheel itself is a remarkable artifact, measuring about 27 inches or 70 centimeters in diameter and 1.5 inches or 5 centimeters in thickness. It was made from ash and oak wood, selected likely for their availability and durability. The ash wood was used for the outer rim of the wheel, while the oak was used for the axle. This indicates that early humans had an understanding of wood properties, as ash is flexible and shock resistant, making it ideal for the outer part of the wheel, while oak is tough and dense, suitable for supporting weight and pressure at the center. The wheel's design is also noteworthy. It is a solid wood wheel made from a single piece rather than the spoked wheels we associate with later civilizations. This type of construction was well suited for the flat, marshy terrain of the Ljubljana marshes where it was found. Notably, the wheel was discovered alongside the remains of a wooden axle, suggesting it was part of a cart. The axle's fixed attachment points imply that the wheel and axle rotated together, unlike later wheels that rotate independently of the axle. This ancient wheel sheds light on early transportation and technological advancements. During the Neolithic period, the wheel would have been an invaluable tool for transporting goods and materials across the marshes, supporting the daily activities of the people living in the area. The wheel was likely used for a two-wheeled cart, which would have been drawn by human or animal power, marking a significant step forward in the development of human society and trade. The discovery of this wheel is not only significant for understanding the technological capabilities of Neolithic societies, but also for exploring how these early communities interacted with their environment. The Ljubljana Marshes region is rich in archaeological finds, including well-preserved wooden structures, tools, and artifacts. The anaerobic, waterlogged conditions of the marsh help preserve these wooden objects for thousands of years, providing a unique window into early human life. The ancient wheel from the Ljubljana marshes demonstrates the ingenuity of early humans and the pivotal role that technological advancements played in shaping human civilization. This artifact, now displayed in the City Museum of Ljubljana, remains a source of fascination and an enduring symbol of humanity's long-standing drive to innovate and adapt. Number 31. The cornea is a fascinating and unique part of the human body, primarily because it is one of only two tissues that lack blood vessels, the other being cartilage. This lack of blood vessels is essential to its function, allowing the cornea to remain transparent and provide a clear window through which light can enter the eye. Number 32. The idea that there's enough gold within the Earth to coat its entire surface may sound like science fiction, but it's a fact grounded in geology. Scientists estimate that if all the gold found within the Earth's core were extracted, it could cover the entire planet's surface with a layer of gold approximately 1.5 feet, about 0.5 meters, thick. This astonishing amount of gold is largely inaccessible to us, as most of it is located deep within the Earth's core and mantle, well beyond the reach of current mining technology. So how gold formed inside Earth? Gold, like many heavy elements, formed through the processes that occurred in the early universe. During the explosions of supernovae and neutron star collisions, immense amounts of energy were released, creating heavy elements, including gold. These elements were scattered throughout space, eventually coalescing into the forming Earth during the planet's accretion process billions of years ago. As Earth cooled, gold and other dense elements began to sink towards the planet's core. This process is known as planetary differentiation. During the early stages of Earth's formation, the planet was molten, allowing dense elements like gold, iron, and nickel to migrate towards the core. This is why the majority of Earth's gold is thought to be located in the core, far below the surface. Exactly how much gold is there? Scientists have estimated that there are around 1.6 quadrillion tons of gold within Earth's core. For perspective, all the gold ever mined by humans throughout history, estimated to be around 244,000 tons, barely scratches the surface of what's hidden within the planet. While there is some gold in the Earth's crust, the vast majority is believed to be deep in the core, where it's unreachable with current mining technology. To coat the Earth's surface with gold, it is estimated that around 8 million tons would be needed. Considering the amount of gold in the core, there would indeed be enough to create a 1.5-foot thick layer covering the entire planet. However, extracting gold from such depths would be impossible with today's technology and is unlikely to ever be feasible given the immense pressures, temperatures, and costs involved. Why gold is so rare on the surface of our beautiful planet? While gold is relatively abundant in the Earth's core, it is rare on the surface. Most of the gold deposits we can access today were brought to the surface through a few key processes over millions of years. Some of this gold was deposited on Earth's surface by meteoritic impacts after the core formation was completed, enriching the crust with additional gold. These meteoritic impacts, along with volcanic activity, hydrothermal vents, and plate tectonics, have helped to bring some gold closer to the surface, where it has been mined by humans for thousands of years. Even with these geological processes, accessible gold remains scarce. Today's gold mines primarily extract gold from ore, which can require processing tons of rock to yield even a small amount of the precious metal. For example, a ton of gold ore might contain only a few grams of gold. So what are the practical implications and human history? Gold's scarcity on the surface and its unique properties, such as its resistance to tarnish, malleability, and lustrous appearance, have made it highly valuable throughout human history. It has been used for coinage, jewelry, art, and as a symbol of wealth and power. The relative scarcity of surface gold contributes to its high value and enduring status as a precious metal. In recent years, interest has also grown in mining asteroids for gold and other rare elements. Some asteroids are believed to contain significant quantities of gold and other precious metals, possibly even more than what is accessible on Earth's surface. While asteroid mining is still theoretical, advances in space technology could make it a reality in the future, potentially opening up new sources of gold beyond our planet. In summary, while there is enough gold within Earth to coat its surface, the vast majority of it lies deep within the core, far beyond reach. This hidden treasure highlights the dynamic and complex processes that shaped our planet, and it underscores why gold remains one of the most precious and sought-after metals on the surface of the Earth. Number 33. In the 19th century, arsenic was surprisingly common in cosmetics and beauty treatments, despite its known toxicity. Arsenic, a naturally occurring element, was widely regarded as a powerful solution for various skin issues. During the Victorian era, people were obsessed with achieving a pale, flawless complexion, which was considered the height of beauty. Arsenic, believed to possess almost magical properties, was advertised as a way to clear the skin of freckles, blackheads, pimples, and other so-called facial disfigurements. One of the more shocking products of the time was Dr. James P. Campbell's Safe Arsenic Complexion Wafers. These wafers were marketed as ingestible beauty products that promised to clear and whiten the skin, eliminate blemishes, and even out the complexion. Campbell's wafers were advertised in various newspapers and periodicals, with claims that they were perfectly safe when taken as directed. The wafers were said to be entirely harmless, as manufacturers assured buyers that the arsenic content was low enough to be non-lethal, while still supposedly effective for cosmetic benefits. Arsenic was thought to work by causing the skin to shed its top layers, revealing newer, smoother skin underneath. This was similar to how some topical arsenic products were used, as arsenic causes cell death in the skin, promoting a peeling effect. For people living in the 19th century, without access to modern skincare knowledge, this shedding effect could give the illusion of rejuvenated skin. However, what wasn't widely understood at the time was that arsenic could accumulate in the body over time. Regular ingestion, even in small doses, could lead to arsenic poisoning, with symptoms including nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and with prolonged exposure, organ failure, and death. Despite these risks, arsenic-based products were popular. Many Victorian-era people truly believed that a product endorsed by doctors or companies with fancy names had to be safe. Beyond Campbell's wafers, other arsenic-laden products were marketed, such as Fowler's solution, a tonic that contained potassium arsenite and was touted as a cure for a variety of ailments, including skin problems and even tuberculosis. Fowler's solution was widely used until the early 20th century, often without awareness of its long-term dangers. The idea that arsenic could be safe in controlled doses was part of a broader trend in the 19th century, where toxic substances were regularly promoted as cures or beauty enhancers. Arsenic was included in creams, soaps, and powders, as well as ingestible products. At the time, knowledge about toxicity and long-term health effects was limited, and there was no regulatory framework to prevent companies from selling harmful substances. The harmful effects of arsenic became more widely recognized in the early 20th century, leading to stricter regulations and the eventual ban of arsenic-based beauty products. However, the obsession with achieving beauty at any cost remained. Some products continued to include dangerous ingredients, with arsenic eventually replaced by other harmful substances like lead and mercury in beauty products, well into the mid-20th century. Today, the fascination with Victorian beauty standards and their often dangerous methods serves as a reminder of how far cosmetic science has come. Although modern beauty products are generally safer due to stringent regulations, the history of arsenic in beauty treatments highlights the lengths people have gone to achieve an idealized version of beauty.